Vortex. Love, love, love from the vortex. Welcome to Fall into the Vortex with Gholdy.
You like that, Dominique? You like that, Gholdy?
I like it.
I'm looking at Gholdy.
Fall into the vortex.
I like that.
Hey, y'all. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Fall into the Vortex with Yoli. When I tell you that my heart is beating, and I'm not lying, I'm so excited. Not just because I love this show, but because who is with me today. Here we go, y'all. We're about to jump in. Dr. Gholdy Muhammad. Can I call you Gholdy? Because you're my bestie anyway.
Yes, of course.
And Dominique D. Jackson. Can I call you D?
Yes, of
Because
course.
you fly like that. Listen, y'all, I got Gholdy Muhammad and I got D. Jackson in the house. They are amazing in their own right. You know Gholdy from Cultivating Genius, from just shaking up the world with her beauty and her brilliance and her love of Blackness. And you know D. Jackson from 80s Babies, the same beauty, the same brilliance, and the same love of Blackness in his music. So help me welcome them. Here we go. How y'all doing? Let's start with you, Gholdy.
Hi, Yoli. I'm doing good. Thank you for having me. I've been waiting for my love from the vortex moment.
I've been waiting for this moment too. I've been waiting for this moment. And D, in truth, this is our second time together. The first time we had an incredible interview and the video didn't catch on Zoom. So just letting all y'all out there know that there will be an audio episode with D. Jackson, an incredible artist, talking about his work, and that's going to come at another time. But D, how you doing? Just check in with us.
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, it's happy to be back again. So I'm honored that you asked me back again, but I'm feeling good. So
Beautiful, because y'all all good. All right, here we go, y'all. Now, you know the show, y'all. This is how we're going to do it. It's an unscripted show, except for at the very beginning, I'm going to ask Gholdy and Dee what they're working on, but it's a little bit different today. I have the two of them together because they created over the summer this incredible program for about 60 young people called STEM is Lit, or STEM literacies. So I'm gonna have them talk about that project in a moment, but I first would like to check in with them to find out what they're working on individually, have us talk about STEM Lit as this incredible program that they ran over the summer, and then we're gonna jump into the vortex by them sharing at least one poem each, and then we'll talk about it and see where it takes us. So first, Gholdy, if you can just share with us, what are you working on now?
Nothing and everything. I'm mostly just spending my time thinking and doing some writing about new ideas for schools and curriculum. And I spend a lot of my time talking with teachers and leaders around the country about, improving and advancing the state of education, and teaching and helping. So, yeah, that's kind of what I've been involved in. And hopefully in December, I can get back to writing more.
We have some projects to write about. I mean, everyone pretty much knows, when I say everyone, those in the academic community that, follow some of the things that we do, they know that Gholdy and I love each other, that we're besties, but we haven't written together as much as we would like. We have a wonderful article that's out there. I mean, I say it's wonderful, I'm biased, with two of Gholdy's former students who are scholars in their own right, really looking at Black women of the past to find out what we can learn about teacher education today. How can we focus on those Black women like Mary McLeod Bethune and Clara Muhammad and others who were trailblazers for Black education? What do we need to look at and learn from them and bring that into today? But Gholdy and I have dreams of writing children's books together and just really trying to spread the love and the forthrightness of Black genius into the education world. So thank you for that, Gholdy. I'm looking forward to whatever comes for what you bring to us, the gifts that you offer, and for doing things together as well. And the Stevie article that we're going to work on. I know that's coming too. Stevie Wonder, that is.
Yes.
Dee, what are you working on?
Right now, a couple things actually. Still promoting and pushing the Unlearned album, the most recent 80s Babies album with myself and Tall Black Guy. You can pick that up everywhere. You know, it's still fairly new. You know, it's just less than a year old, so we're still promoting that. We're actually working on it as well. So just get right back at them. I got an EP coming out with my brother, Fifth Element, still writing, recording that too. I'm not sure when it's gonna come out, but it's coming together. And you know, just getting over a small like writer's block phase. So I'm writing a lot lately too. So just that.
You know, that happens. Let me just say this, Dee, about your sound. When you lean forward, we could hear you really great. So I just want to make sure that folks who are watching and listening hear everything that you have to say. I don't want them to miss a thing. So I'll just, you know, may do it. That sounds perfect. So what you were saying is you've been working on this EP with a brother friend, Fifth Element, but you are overcoming a little bit of writer's block. And let me tell you, I know how that is. I do.
Yeah. Not sure when the EP is gonna be available. Probably within the next, I would say 3-4 months. But it's coming along.
All right, beautiful. Do you want to say a little bit about it in terms of the themes? Will the themes be related to a lot of what 80s Babies takes up in its music? Is it a totally new direction? Inquiring minds want to know.
It's definitely a different sound than maybe what people are used to hearing me on. But it's me, so my writing style is something similar. It's always going to be something conscious, something, you know, current and things like that. It's something pushing the culture forward. So it's going to be similar, but different. Like it's going to be refreshing, but it's going to be a familiar D Jackson at least.
Beautiful. And if y'all don't know, D Jackson, Tall Black, also known as 80s Babies, they wrote the theme song for Love from the Vortex. And y'all know the album is about to drop at the end of November.
It's like hot too.
It is hot. It is hot.
I mean, can we talk about the song for a second?
Talk about it, please.
You know, first of all, I love you both so deeply. You two are both the loves of my life. And you know, when Dee wrote that song and shared it with me, I was like, what did you embody, a Black woman when you wrote that song? It's like, it's such it's so on point for everything. And I call it the ultimate breakup song. I don't care who you're breaking up with, your job, your boo.
Your parents.
It's so good. It's just so captivating and moving. I mean, Dee's voice is like silk and it's so like wonderful on the music. It's so good. I love it.
And you know, Gholdy, Dee, before we hear from you, Gholdy, I want to thank you for saying, can we pause and talk about it? Because, and I remember that morning, right, when we all got on Zoom and you debuted the song to me, you know, I started crying. And y'all know from watching the show, I cry all the time, right? But I cried because it's exactly what you said, Gholdy. It was like, Dee, you went into my heart, you went into my mind. It's like you embody all of the joy, the pain, the desires, the hopes, the laughter that I had in, you know, those relationships with the six. And we're gonna play your audio interview where you talked a little bit more about it, but can you just say something about that here? What was that like for you to read this book and then be able to create the song, you and Tall Black, in the way that you did? I'm still puzzled by it.
Yeah, so well, I was definitely inspired by your word too. And I know Gholdy said it was the ultimate breakup song. To me, it's like the ultimate like self-love song too. But it was definitely inspired by your words too. and it kind of just came out. You know, I can't even take credit for it. I think I would probably give you more credit and give God the rest of the credit, like the most credit. But it kind of just came out. Like if I would book, then it wouldn't have been. I wouldn't have been inspired. And then like once I got the first line, it literally took me about 10, 15 minutes.
Well, you know what, and
So I can't take all the credit.
Dee, I want to say that I do understand that process, and Gholdy, I think you can relate too in terms of when you were writing Cultivating Genius, and when that flow happens, when God takes over the pen, you know, it just, if you're open, it will flow. And most of the poems in Love from the Vortex, Gholdy knows this, a minute, 2 minutes. Sometimes I would be in the middle of a conversation with her and I would say, I got to hang up. I have to write a poem because our conversation would spark something. And then I just had to let it flow. So that, you know, that is, I've come to understand it as a gift, accept it as a gift, and be grateful for the gift. And speaking of gifts, together, y'all really gave, I think, a gift to about 60 beautiful young brothers and sisters this summer. You put together a team of folks and you created, I think it was called STEM Lit or STEM Literacies. Can we spend some time just talking about that collaboration? What was it? What led to it? And what do you think you learned from it? And will you do it again this summer?
Yeah, so I can start with that. I have been doing these literacy institutes for youth and for Black youth each summer that mirror and reflect the Black literary societies in the 19th century, those that I write about in Cultivating Genius. And these were collaborative, beautiful, genius spaces of joy, but also academic spaces as well, where folks could come together to read, write, think, and heal, and uh, sort of make the world better in their literacy practices. And we had the summer had come upon us again. And with my grant, STEM is Lit, which stands for literacies, and in conversation in community with Dee, you know, I mean, Dee inspires me so much to do the work that I'm doing. And, every time, from back in the day to now, he would drop an album, he would send it to me. And I would just sort of be enthralled by the language, by his process, and just by the musicality of it all.
Mm.
And I don't know like whose idea, but I think when we were in conversation, I'm like, well, what about if we bring in hip hop into a summer literacy institute that mirrors Black excellence and Black literary societies and literacy development and STEM, because the focus was on every summer with my grant is STEM and math and science related. And so I was sort of interested in what happens when teaching artists, those artists who are in the field, out there doing the work, what happens when artists come together with teachers to create something together using our collective gifts. And that's what happened. I mean, I think that's how it started. Right, Dee? Yeah, that's kind of how
Yeah,
it
yeah, yeah.
happened. And
Yeah,
students.
yeah, yeah. I just remember. Oh, go ahead, go.
Oh no, I just said, and we had 60 students, and we would come together and study hip hop lyrics, the history of hip hop. We would freestyle. I mean, I freestyled a couple times. It wasn't that great, but I did it because that's what teachers do. And we had visiting. They learned the elements of hip hop and visiting artists, and it was great. What are you about to say?
No, it was
I was waiting for Dee to come on.
not.
I'm just
Yeah, it
excited.
was dope. Like everything. Yeah, everything she said. Like I can echo that. I just remember in the beginning when she approached me about it, and I was definitely honored that she would ask me to do that, and that she would include some my personal friends people that I know that are qualified, artists, teaching artists too. And personally, I would say it was one of the most rewarding things that I've ever done. With
And
the
Dee is a
kids.
great teacher. I tried to recruit
Yeah,
him.
you said that. You said that. Allison said I was a natural too. That's crazy.
Yeah,
But
and so we had volunteer teachers. I mean, people would just like give up their time. We had Dr. Jamila Liscott. We had Kenny Lattimore. I mean, it was just
Wait,
really.
what? Wait, what?
Oh yeah, Kenny and I are really like we're like best friends.
No, I'm the best friend. Okay.
I know.
But, I mean, we know that Dr. Jamila Liscott is fire. She's always been fire and an incredible teacher and human being. And I only know Kenny, and I know her deeply and well, but I only know Kenny Lattimore through his music. So what do you mean Kenny Lattimore was part of it? How did that happen?
Well,
yeah, Gholdy, since you got like 14 best friends. How many
I
best friends you got?
I do have 14 best friends, and he's number 14. So I kept getting these emails over the summer from a sister named Allison Curry. And she was like, hey, I saw that you're doing this camp for youth. How can I be a part of it? And I'm like, I mean, those who know me, I'm tired a lot. And I'm like, oh, we got so many adults on the project. I think we might be good. And she just kept emailing me back like, sis, we about to do this. And I said, okay, we about to do this. And so she became one of our teachers of the Institute. And she's a teacher out of Los Angeles. And, her and Kenny go back from childhood. And so she has a lot of talented and brilliant family members and friends. Her nephew also joined, but that's how Kenny came on. And he talked about the importance of keeping true to who you are when you are making music and art, which is what you do, Yoli. So that's why you two are like my best friends together.
And I want folks to know that I was blessed to actually come in on I think the last day. And so I kind of knew that Kenny was there, but I wanted y'all to have an understanding of how that came to be, and really the power of our connections, that we are all genius and we are doing this work all over. And so Sister Allison coming in and Brother Kenny coming in to add to what y'all created, it's just a testimony of who we are. As we lift, as we climb, as we create networks that work for each other in service of our young people. Indeed, one thing before we move on, because we're going to fall into the vortex and move on, but you said that this was one of the most rewarding experiences that you had. Could you say a little bit more about that?
Yeah, you know what? Just working hands-on with the kids to see what they're actually getting out of it firsthand. We changed a few lives. We have kids that I know they keep in touch with Gholdy. That one of them actually wants to become like some type of creative writer or a rapper or things like that. Teaching kids just how the power of their pen and their voices and things like that, and just affecting their lives like firsthand, which is important. And actually, I probably learned more from the kids than I taught them. So it's something that I would personally like to continue. Hopefully, it works out that way. But it was just a great all around.
It's beautiful. I'm glad that y'all both had the personal experience, but also really impacted the lives of our babies. Are y'all ready to fall into the vortex?
Okay.
Now, if you don't have, everybody has their, this is like a beautiful screenshot.
Keep it on deck, son.
All day, every day, right by your side. Gholdy does keep it by her bedside.
All throughout the house.
Listen, I got copies everywhere, over here, in the kitchen, in the living room. All right, y'all, here's the thing. Dee, let's start with you. We're just asking you to share one poem and have you read it. Then we're gonna go straight to you, Gholdy, and have you share a poem and read it. And then we'll come together and you'll just talk about why that poem, what does it mean to you, and take it from there.
Okay, so the reason I picked this poem, and it's not a cop-out because it's short, but it's powerful, and because somebody that you and I care about a lot kind of posed this to me in her own way, and it made me think about it. So it struck me, and it's kind of like where I'm at right now, or where I was a couple months ago.
What
So
page?
this poem,
What page?
page
Read along.
page 122. The poem is called Commitment.
122. Yeah, I'm there.
Okay, so it's 2 bars, 4 lines, 2 bars, but it's powerful. It's commitment, and it says, "I know that I'm ready to love you because I'm prepared to lose." Like that's something. I was having a conversation with somebody I care about a lot, and and if some things didn't work out the way we planned, she told me I have to love her enough to let her go.
Mm.
And I never even thought about that until that point. So yeah, that's why this one struck out to me. This was powerful.
Wow, thank you for that. And we'll come back and talk some more. Thank you for that vulnerability, Dee. Gholdy, what would you like to read to us?
It's so many. I can't, do I have to pick one right now?
Yeah, just one.
Okay, so I'm going to pick one that's called Leaving the Vortex.
Oh, that's on the back of the book too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So it's also on page 80. It's on the back of the book. The image is sort of like indicative of the front of the book, so it's all over the book. But for me, like the reason why I chose this poem is because Yoli and I, just as best friends, we have, we are sisters and we have experienced the vortex together. It was very strange. Um, and if it wasn't for each other, I don't know how we would have gotten through it. I don't know how we would get through each day. But the vortex was very serious. It was very sad and painful. Yet, I think for both of us, it was still something very beautiful because, we had each other. And I'm also picking this poem because when I left the vortex myself, so much opened up in my life and in my heart and love and happiness and passion and just believing in love. So I'm going to read it and then we'll go from there. Leaving the vortex. My passion for you is no longer useful. Now that you know my potential to love you, I will not slip again into sadness. I will not write streams of consciousness that spiral my heart into the vortex. I am grateful for the vortex. It has served me well. Now it's time to leave it behind and discover what beauty awaits. And thankfully, I found beauty after it. And so that's why I chose that poem.
First of all, I have to unmute myself. First of all, you both have no idea what it is for me to be in your presence together and have you read and share what you just did. I'm going to try not to cry, right? But these tears would be tears of joy because we know what it's like to be hurt. We know what it's like to be in the presence of someone or someone's who don't see your beauty. And I'm not just talking about our physicality. I'm talking about the beauty of our hearts and our minds and our spirits. And when we do find that person, oh my goodness, it is the most beautiful thing ever. And the fact that, Gholdy, you share that you have found that, and Dee, I'm believing guessing, speculating that you found it as well, and you've had your moments in the vortex and you're out of it. It's such a liberating, beautiful moment. And I actually have chills. I don't know if you could see, I have these little things on my arm right now because I'm just excited to be in your presence, to hear you talk about making it over and finding love. It's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it is.
That's all I got, y'all. I mean, this actually comes to the end of our time together. And the way that the show ends is that we ask the guests to offer, by way of something creative that they've done, or offer advice based on their lives, loves. Most important is that you have the last word. And so we're going to start with you, Gholdy, and we're going to end with you, Dee. What advice would you like to offer to the viewers, the listeners of Love from the Vortex? Or you can share something creative, whatever it is, as long as you have the last word.
Okay.
I said we were going to start with Dee, and you just jump right on.
Oh, you just said we're gonna start with you, Gholdy, and end with
Oh
Dee.
yeah, that's right. I'm sorry.
Did I hear that wrong?
If you're listening, that's all. No, Sissy.
I would love to hear
No,
from
Sissy, go ahead, please. I'd love for Dee to have the last word. Sissy, thank you. I'm always
Gholdy, always taking over. Always.
And Dee always has the last word.
See that? So it's in line. And I'm always doing pranks on my Sissy. So y'all who are watching, this is who we are. And I think this is what makes Fall Into the Vortex so wonderful, because we just bring who we are at every moment. But Sissy, go ahead, please.
Okay. So if I had advice, you know, love is just, it's so many types of love. And you know, it's funny because Dee said that like the Love from the Vortex song is like a song of self-love. You know, I'm learning every day that that's where it begins. Like self-love, loving yourself. You can't really love anybody else until you love yourself. I remind myself too in moments of sadness and where you feel like you can't get out of it, like you're trying to climb your way out of the vortex or the hole of sadness, no matter what kind of loss in love you have experienced. You know, it's a reminder that spring always comes. And when spring comes, I think something beautiful can happen. If we can all just wait for spring. I think the first day of spring happens in March. And if we just can wait for spring to come, like everything will bloom again. If we can just make it to spring, it will be okay. And so that's my advice to, I always say it's my advice to myself, it's my advice to everybody else, because I still have to tell myself these things. So if we can just love ourselves enough and wait till spring, something beautiful can await.
Gave me chills.
Yeah. My birthday is in spring.
Your birthday's in spring? Happy birthday, T.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
But yeah, that was like that. If I was to give some type of advice, I would say once you get to the point where you know your heart is actually speaking to you, you should definitely listen and follow your heart, you know, because yeah, I think I'm a pretty smart guy, and sometimes too smart for my own good. I overthink things a lot when I really should just follow my heart, you know. And sometimes like you get that clash between your head and your heart, and I think it's always best most time to follow your heart and you know, take a leap out on faith, on love, and things like that. And I don't know, you always end up on top, I think, you know. So that's what I've learned lately too. I had to do that.
I mean, love is the answer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It always is, no matter what problem you have.
Well, let me end by saying that I love you both. And
Oh,
this was really, I don't know, I feel my shoulders go down. You know, I'm always hyped, I'm always excited, but there's this calm that I have right now, and it is because of the two of you. Thank you for allowing me to love you. Thank you for loving me back. And thank y'all once again for falling into the vortex. We'll see you next time. Good night.